We're so.
Last minute, you know, I get off at 6, so it's gonna always be like that.
Thank you so much. All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. We have a quorum, but I'd like to just go the traditional way. Please call roll.
Okay, let's see. Miss Ball is not here. Mr. Tooby's here. Miss Di is not. Miss Newton's here. Mr. Williams here. Mr. Snyder is here.
And you can call me Teresa.
Okay.
And Tony as well.
He said, Mr. Snyder.
So I had gotten an email that is a day or two ago from Nikki Dye, one of our councilmen. And she advised that she's a teacher. I think those parent teachers conferences being tonight, so she unfortunately would not be able to be here. And I suspect that Lauren, I understand, can't be here. I'm suspecting it's the same reason. Also. So, and then we have one vacancy because the 7th member needs to be appointed by town council to fill out our 7th person. So we're going with 6, but 6 and 7 both require 4 people to have a quorum, one more than 50% of your people on the commission. So we have that now, and we will go ahead and stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I'll also, right now, I'll mention that Nicole advised me today that she has something that's going on later in the evening with one of her children, and that she wouldn't be here at the beginning. She may be able to get back. She may not be able to get back to be at the meeting. So we are going to proceed on that. And Stephanie, thank you for being here to make everything work for us.
Let's hope.
Records.
We all do.
All right, folks. So I don't foresee this as being a real long meeting tonight. It's really some ideas to start thinking about and maybe get some feedback on and see where we would go from there. But in making those comments, I guess I've gotten ahead of the agenda. Adopt or amend agendas. Anybody got anything else they want to add to what this agenda said for tonight? Okay. Then I'll take a motion to. I don't even need that. We're not changing it. So the agenda stands as presented. Public comment. Well, we'll note that no one came. No one's here. No, and I don't guess we got any letters or anything, did we?
No.
Okay, so no public comment at tonight's meeting. Approval of the minutes, and you'll find those in here behind the letter F. That particular meeting was the joint meeting that we had, where the first part of the meeting was with council as well. And we were discussing some things, had a public hearing over it. We made a recommendation with, and that was acted upon by council, and I believe it was voted on by them to be accepted.
The settlement. Sorry, I was taking notes.
That was a joint meeting, this
Right.
one that we're looking at September 26th.
Yes.
Part of this is unusual. You're showing the council members and then the planning commission members as well. It ended by us making recommendations, us being, and I believe council voted to accept the recommendations.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are on that. Do you all see any changes or additions or corrections that need to be made? Uh, to look at page 5. Looking at the discussion that Ms. McGee and I had pertaining to her comments during the public comment section. Second paragraph. Chairman Cubey was interrupted by Mrs. McGee while he was speaking, and the chairman advised that she was out of order and stopped speaking. The chairman warned Mrs. McGee. I'm looking at possibly stating in here, as far as what clarity, the chairman advised her that if she continued to speak during the meeting, then he would ask for action to be taken. Is how I would like to clarify that.
It's up to you because you did say I'm warning you. So,
Yeah.
so it's your call.
Oh, yeah, clean that one up.
Yeah, and Chairman Cubey continued by stating that there was not a secret meeting. I know I stated that the meeting was properly advertised to the public, because that's what, it wasn't a secret meeting from the beginning. Everybody knew about it. It was advertised and people could be there. So she couldn't have alleged that it was an illegal meeting because we didn't have a quorum. No secret meeting. I would like to add the meeting was properly advertised to the public between the first sentence and the second one. 2 new commissioners were present, and just go ahead with the rest of that. That's my comment on it. And I'm looking at on the next page, public hearings. I think the zoning administrator briefed the commission on proposed changes. The chairman opened the public hearing, and if you just put in with no public comments, just that one word. And that does it for me.
Okay, can we go back to what you want to,
That
about the warning part?
second paragraph.
Yeah.
Speaking of.
Yep,
The third paragraph.
yeah, it is a third, yeah.
Let's see. How do I do that? Voicemail. So you want me to begin with what I had said on the Chairman Cubey paragraph?
Yes, please. Mhm.
Chairman Cubey was interrupted by Mrs. McGee while he was speaking, and the chairman advised her that she was out of order and to stop speaking. The chairman further advised her that if she continued to speak during the meeting, then he would ask for action to be taken against her.
So I see the one change in the second line.
So he found is out.
Yeah, you take the fact
Yep,
out and make he, her.
Yep,
And then Chairman warned Ms. I don't think you need to say advised again.
Okay.
Warned her.
do we want to keep warned?
Warned in. That's the only place warned.
Yes.
It's got to be in there.
Yeah.
Because again, if you're admonishing someone and it's going to be an issue, you definitely have to tell them by our rules that we've adopted, clarity, that, that they are warned before taking any further action. So yes, I agree. That should be warned.
I'm sorry, you weren't finished enough.
I've done now. What?
Where is the ordinance or statute or whatever about the warning? Maybe.
It's in our bylaws and rules of order.
Oh, okay.
And if they've been put in the back of every.
They should be.
Okay.
Look at
So
that.
should we note in parentheses
Yeah.
where it came from?
Sure. Because
The reason why I say that is because every time.
can't cut it off.
It seems like the attitude is I'm trying to clean this statement up. Things that we do
are inherently wrong.
by the public. And we need to set a standard of where we get that information from, when the, comments are spoken.
I think it's an excellent suggestion. And
That's that.
I can tell you, it should be referenced, the town planning commission's, standing rules of procedure. It is conduct of meetings, Roman section 2, Roman numeral 2, and letter N, where it says, the chair shall order the removal of any person whose behavior is so unruly or disruptive as to prevent the orderly conduct of the meeting. At least one verbal warning should be provided by the chair to any offending person unless the immediate action of removal is deemed necessary. Conduct of MPC members towards each other, staff, and the public must be above reproach and should avoid even the appearance of impropriety. MPC members shall refrain from abusive language or conduct, personal charges, or verbal attacks upon the character or motives of other members of the MPC. So that addresses the whole thing of what brings you to a point of taking.
Just thinking, yeah, just label it from the bylaws.
Yeah. Bylaws are the beginning, 2 pages, so it's
Yeah.
beyond the bylaws, and it's in the standard rules and procedures on page 3. Excuse
Well,
me,
it's
it's on page 5,
Yeah,
page 5,
and then.
item N under
N.
2N, Roman 2N. Thank you very much for that suggestion.
Go ahead. Sorry, I thought we
You
were
can add that into that paragraph in an appropriate way, references to each two.
okay.
Roman 2.
That sound good?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's to protect us.
Right. I mean, it clearly,
You can't stop it.
Okay, so then all we're doing then is changing advise her, taking out found. And then the rest of that, because we're keeping warned, right? So the rest of that paragraph is fine. And then adding the reference. Okay. Okay. Page 5.
Five.
I did want to add in there where it said if she continued to speak during the meeting, then he would ask for action to be taken against her.
That is in there.
It is, no, it's not in,
On paragraph 3.
yeah. Maybe I'm looking at an earlier version. I'll bet this is all marked up. Is what I probably asked.
Oh, I don't know, right? Am I, y'all see that too at the end of paragraph? That-
Okay.
Okay. Oh, what am I doing?
Advanced copy.
Okay, we're good?
Hey, yeah,
We're good.
I will say no more. Does anyone else have any additions to the minutes that y'all are looking at?
I have no additions to the minutes. I have a comment.
Sure.
With people who seem to enjoy riling stuff up. And maybe the best response is to say thank you. Next, move on. Because to respond gives credence to what she's fussing about.
I agree. With the exception that you cannot allow but so much when it's not during the proper time it's assigned.
As we saw Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the minutes. I don't think there was a revision or two as we.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Snyder. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Newton. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, it passes 4-0. All right, so old business, none there, new business. So there are 3 items that we have that we're scheduled to discuss tonight. And I was relying upon the town manager or zoning administrator to kind of lead these things. And she unfortunately is not here with us tonight because of the obligation. Now, she told me she made some copies that you were going to pass out.
Oh, she just told me one for me, one for you.
Oh.
I can make copies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a minute.
And I'm looking at just number 2, overlay districts and whatnot. Should we also include what the county has kind of planned for our area? Because if I remember correctly, in one of the county's plans, growth is targeted at mineral, and one other way, Zion's Crossroads mineral.
Probably the weekend. Council.
I'm not sure about town leaders, because I don't care about town leaders.
It was county. It was county that was referenced.
No, what our meeting was the county had labeled areas for growth.
They have labeled the mineral area, both, I guess, both the town and the immediate area, now the town is in the county. So we'll talk about that.
Okay, maybe she did give one for all of them. Okay.
Wait, no, this is,
No, her comments are the 1, 2, and 3 right here.
which, oh,
The House of Fund application discussion.
oh,
Your comments are the 1, 2, and 3.
I was just reading the top.
You're gonna give me one, aren't you? I just talked to her over the telephone.
No, here for you. Here, you can do it now.
Okay. Well, I thought that was the agenda.
No, her comments are the 1, 2, and 3. It's the same thing for me.
Okay, so when,
So I was going from the agenda to the look at that part out. This agenda, if these are the comments. So everybody needs to be looking at this one that looks like an agenda, but at the bottom with the PUD particularly, it's saying discussion with 1, 2, and 3. This is the, do y'all have that in front of you?
Yes.
That's what she and I talked about this afternoon. So let's.
this discussion of preliminary plan phase.
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm on the right page.
So she and I were talking without this being in front of me, and she hadn't finished it. She was working. She told she had. So I'm going to read it out loud because I don't know that I could try to do it well just from recollection of what we talked about. So under the PUD application, it's here because there is a PUD in the town that has existed since 2007, I believe it is. 15 years or so. And it was a business person that came before the council at that time. They did not have PUD regulations in it, so they had to develop something. They got the county to help them with it, and it mirrors quite a bit of what the county's was back then. And it went through and it got approved. But you can imagine the studies and all that were required 15 years ago, and the rules and regulations and all have probably greatly changed. The developer that got the approval ended up not building because of the economy that went bad in that time frame. So he did nothing. And the law, from what I understand with the state, is that state code is if you don't do anything within 5 years or something like that, that it's invalid. And that's more or less the situation. It's said here, no one else had come up pertaining to the PUD and interested in it. But in the last 2 years, lots of interest has suddenly come about of building and developing in the town of Mineral. And we also have someone that is interested in this PUD now and has even submitted a preliminary plan. But it was still our plan to go over this even before that newest interested party came forward. So she's laid out your PUD application. A, discussion of forms and contents requirements. 1, this has to be a rezoning to showcase the zoning district. So what she's saying there is if you look on the map right here, this is where the PUD is, this green. All of that is one distinct classification. It's the fifth classification that was added after the 2 residential and the 2 commercial that already existed. It's 78 acres and it borders, if you go across 5th Street where Miller's Market is, across the railroad track, and when you come across it and go down 5th Street, you have Walton Park on one side. And that's what you're doing. Let's see, here's Walton Park. So here's the railroad track coming into town.
So,
And if you turn at 5th Street, this is Miller's Market right here in light commercial, I believe it is. Right here, this is Miller's Market. There's the railroad track. You cross it. Then you got Duke Oil on either side here with Tony Henshaw's house up there in the corner. And then you get into Walton Park. All this part down here is Walton Park. But 5th Street runs into the PUD. It's only developed down here to the end. It's undeveloped beyond that. So originally they're going to have an entrance there and they're going to have an entrance off of 1st Street. And since it is one zoning classification, she's saying that this would require a rezoning. So whoever is going to do this has to put together their plan, and it's supposed to be mixed use. That's the whole idea of a PUD. So it should have residential in it. It should have commercial in it, different types of businesses that probably would be advantageous for the community, as well as it was intended to go on 1st Street so that businesses could operate and serve both within the PUD, but also be accessed by the public and come in without having to go through the PUD to get to it. They come in off of 1st Street. If that's the way it works out with the new development, maybe so, but she's saying that in essence, the things that you can do are going to still follow zoning, different types that are in the town. You're just going to have to rezone this to be the commercial part in one area, the residential in another, and whatever happens.
this doesn't make sense because the PUD zoning is a planned use, and it seems like it wouldn't require that you break up that chunk into separate zones.
That's what she's saying.
Well, you have to, because each housing has got their own zoning.
But my understanding, that's the question I have to look at, is that by putting it under a PUD, it falls outside of those zoning things, and it is a plan for the whole thing. So that wouldn't mean that we would rezone it. We would accept their plan.
I'm not going to.
I don't know.
I'm not the authority, so I can't say that I'm speaking as an authority. But what I'm understanding from talking to Nicole about is, again, a lot of the things that you can and cannot do are spelled out in each one of those. So this is going to be a development that allows various different types of things: multifamily homes, single family homes, restaurants, maybe doctor's office would be great, whatever, those types of things. So she is saying the different zoning areas are going to have to be submitted and to be approved. Now, whether, I don't think that they're going to go back and recolor the different areas, but they're going to have to submit a preliminary plan. Is going to have to be accepted based upon classifications and the things that are allowed in those classifications, wherever they are within that group. That's my understanding. I could be wrong.
So my understanding is that they set it up the way they want it, and we can accept it the way they set it up, or we can turn it down. But I don't know because they've been talking about this for a long time.
Right.
I don't think we get into the weeds of, I mean, even the streets could just disappear in that zone. They could,
Oh, yeah, I doubt if, they're not going to use the
No.
existing streets. They're going to have to be presenting a road plan and what are the widths and are they going to have sidewalks and drainage and everything else. So let's just go into all three items and talk about them collectively. So that was one where she's saying rezoning to showcase the zoning districts within it. 2, a site plan showing phases and parking. 2 important things. Phases, the original one was done in 3 phases.
Mhm.
And as I understand it, the business part of it wasn't to be until the final stage, phase 3. That's not a good recipe. I think that good planning would say you want the support functions in at least at some point during, but before completion, at least before completion of all the housing, because the last thing you want is for all the housing to get built and then rely upon that businesses are going to not only, be encouraged, but that they actually come in there. You want some of that along the way. So how that would work, whether it's in phase 1 or 2, but certainly probably not a good idea to just say the business is the final leg of the development. And 3, there would be a checklist made from the updated PUD district requirements. Again, the specifications of things to do are not as detailed in the current town code as what it could be. You look for fees, it doesn't tell you what fee it is for a preliminary plat versus a final plat. It doesn't talk about reviews that may need to be done, whether it's VDOT review, if EPA was required to be involved. None of those things are defined here. I know that the town manager is wanting for all rezonings to get a countywide review, meaning you have the health department, you have the county itself. The water and sewer is something that is certainly important from a regional standpoint, at least within Louisa County, because we don't, other than having one well, we don't have the ability to provide or create adequate supply for water, and certainly the sewer is entirely processed by the county. So there needs to be a review of those things, and the staging and the process needs to provide time to do those things before you necessarily come out, take a request, and approve it. So our point tonight is to start discussing it, and I wish that the manager were here to be able to know more about it and speak to it than what I am. But that was the intent, to start discussing this and then to come up with something in writing to present to us to recommend to town council.
Well, we're going to have to look at the infrastructure and get the people involved from the county right away, even before they bring a plan to us.
Yeah, that's what I have just written down. Infrastructure. Do we even have the infrastructure to accommodate a development like this? And so I think that would be the first thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so important.
Be-
And if it's not there, proffers to make it get, to put it in place.
That's right. You're right. And I can tell you that the town manager told me for tonight's meeting for discussion, all that. She had a meeting this week with the county and with the water authority and with the town of Louisa and with the town of Menlo. And the county wants to advocate for us to work cooperatively, particularly on the water and sewer aspects for future planning.
Will this be based there? Those fees would be based upon what the county does, and we wouldn't have anything to do with those
Yeah.
fees.
there is not any already proposed to present for us to discuss, and it's not really, I don't think, our place to discuss it. They probably need to look at what other areas charge and then look at what goes into the cost structure for the county, the water authority, and the town, and come up with it. But fees need to be looked at for processing and for handling major proposals before the town.
Well,
There,
from
I
my
can tell-
experience, okay, what we did that was outside the town limit, we had nothing to do with those fees. They had nothing, I mean, they didn't come to us. They've got to go to the county and pull their permits, and they pay their fees there.
Right.
Had nothing to do with it. Now, the town didn't have their own building code. So, and this town, I'm sure, doesn't have an inspector.
No.
Okay. So there again, you've got to get that permit too, and let the county handle it. I don't know whether they handle it here or not, but it got so big that they turned all the permitting over, but we still had to communicate with the county to do everything that was necessary. Hey, I got a permit for this, and this is what we've got to do.
Basically, that is what
It would,
happens here, or it's supposed to happen.
okay,
Hadn't always been, a very distinct set of rules, regulations, guidelines, but it is supposed to, the zoning law is the town's to handle, and the Louisa County Building Department will not issue a building permit from within the town unless they get a letter of it being zoned properly and approved for them to handle from the town.
okay,
So that
That's
process
better.
is
okay.
what does happen.
Well, it seems just a little bit just kind of premature because actually it seems like a pie in the sky. I don't know even what we're talking about. I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't even know what the development is, something that we even, I mean, like, what is it all about? Like, what's the layout? What is this development? Is it in our comprehensive plan? Is it something that we are, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just, so to discuss it and to even, it's just, I would like to know what we're talking about.
Well,
It's,
what we want to talk about is are the PUD regulations adequate and up to snuff before the development, this one or a future one down the road comes in here. Unfortunately, we didn't get started on it quite as early as to allow for us to have already gone through that before we have a developer now after 15 years that's suddenly interested. So we're not doing it just because we have one. We were already talking about the need to do it.
So the one that was in place that was approved, is there any kind of study of seeing what it was and how well it was and just if it needs to be tweaked? I mean, like if it's something that passed and that was decent and that was good, I mean, it's like, do we have to recreate the will? It's just,
I think what happened is somebody asked for that designation. We did it. And then they dropped the ball. They took it no further.
Right.
So there was never a need to have to deal with that problem. And it's always been, I mean, when I first time I was on the planning commission, there was we need to think about the PUD because it's this thing that lives over the hill. In case it ever happens.
Yeah, it was to be like 350 houses, single family houses.
okay,
Whether it was any multifamily housing apartments, I don't know, don't think so, but I'm not sure. It was to have a new town hall built in it. That was one of the agreements that they were supposed to do. Of course, time passed, it didn't happen. The town has built its own. Knowing what they had would be worthwhile. And again, the town manager would know that better. I wasn't on council and wasn't on planning commission either, so I don't have a firsthand knowledge of it. Yes.
question. In order for Tony to understand, what's going on,
Yeah.
is there is it far enough along that we could get the developer to come in here and let us see what he's just preliminary, what his thoughts are, where they're wanting to go with it? I mean, it doesn't have to be 2 or 3 hours long or anything, just enough to help Tony understand what's going to happen on this 78 acres.
Do you guys understand, do you already understand what's happening and what the development is?
I don't know anything. I just,
Me either.
from what Ed said, it's 78 acres. It's going to be mixed use. Mixed use meaning any kind of commercial that's in there. But he also pointed out that he wanted to go to First Avenue so the town could prosper, in that area too, like going out and to restaurants or a doctor's office, because it's so close by. But they're going to have a mini mart or whatever in there if it's going to be 350 houses. That's a lot of people in there. And so they're going to come in. They're probably, if we don't have a swimming pool here, work it in there and let us have a swimming pool that's open to all the residents, not just that PUD area. We can. A senior citizen could go. Center could go in there.
Exactly.
I mean, we've got to. That's what we have to talk about. Is what do we want from this development to come in here?
Absolutely. That was my point, because we want to be involved with it before even, I mean, we don't want like a plan to be handed to us. We want to be involved with, say, this is 5 million
Yes.
to what we want.
Yes.
This is going to, accommodate the town growth, you know what I mean? Just to stimulate growth here.
It's my understanding that the original was approved contained a large part of restricted age housing, 55 or older. So
Ooh.
I love that.
I personally love that.
Well, it's great, but we don't have schools for it. In the elementary school at 208, is that?
The elementary school over here is Thomas Jefferson, which is Route 33, going out of town towards Richmond, about 5 miles.
Down past the Pizza Hut.
That's the one for the central.
Pizza Hut. Wait a minute. In Louisa?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
you go
no
to.
effects go on the interstate. That's up on the hill, right?
No, she's talking about Moss Knuckles.
To Ferncliff.
Uh-huh.
That is a elementary school, but it's not for middle. There are 2 elementary schools on the western end. One called Trevilian's on 33 towards Gordonsville. The other one, Henry, isn't it?
There's Trevilians and there's Jewett. There's Trevilians and Jewett. Jewett's, I thought, down the other.
Jewett is the one from the middle area. You'd be go, no, Jewett is, I'm so.
Yeah, Jewett's out.
Jewett is in the eastern end.
Right, and Trevilians is in.
64.
Mhm.
Yeah. Tell me, I can remember. Thomas Jefferson is kind of in the middle of the county.
And Jewett is, I think, there are 4 elementary schools for our county, and 2 of them in the western end, 1 in the middle, and 1 in the east.
Okay, so back to you like the age 55 and up, that's great. 350 houses, they can separate it to where, if we wanted that, to have family use or family, and then 55 and be separated.
Because those are the ones that's going to shop. They're the ones that are walking, it's a walkable community. They're the ones that's not going to put a strain on the schools. They're going, so it's really what we're directing, having something like that. It seems that that's what we, that's what's going to help to develop this. They've got money as well that, it's going to funds that they want to be involved with, building something as well.
But 2, it might be that we would have to say something like, they're busting at the seams in these elementary schools. Why not have one built somewhere on this end? I mean, we don't know what our needs are until we investigate.
And could I just interject? That's what I believe that Ms. Washington is talking about. If there's a request that comes in, she would like to incorporate what most jurisdictions do, is have an interagency group to take a look at things from the standpoint of the roads, being able to meet out the schools, looking about school age, people that might be attracted to it. Where do you have the facilities to handle that or not? The water authority, the water and sewer able to take care of it.
The railroad track, opening up that, you know what I mean? If you have some development like that, the demand is there to open up that track and that station.
And I think of all this is what I'm saying. The way things have been done here, this is just me speaking, the way things have been done here in Mineral, it seems to me like people just come in to get a decision made, and it's often, drawings on a piece of paper or just, sketches and stuff like that. No real site plan.
Not while we're here. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, not real site plans, and probably not as many studies that have been done beforehand for you to act upon. They just never been done. And that's that's not the way it typically happens. And even though we are a small place and a small town, we still want to see it addressed properly so that, you find out if somebody has to put in a de-escalation lane, or you need to drop the speed limit down, if you need a traffic control light, all those things. With the railroad track there, what does that do for, what's planned?
The Christian community, Mineral, we want it to be, we want to set an example for folks developing.
Yeah, and you definitely would want, I would think, in a community like that, for it to have sidewalks and recreational areas for themselves, as well as, there's to be open space. There's requirements for open space. So what's that open space going to be? So we are not here tonight to immediately do that. And I think that Nicole plans on working on that from her past and from other areas and all, and to propose to lay out some things that will make us be able to more professionally address things, to do a good, orderly review, approval, and an adequate action to consider all things that need to be looked at when the requests come in. And if you don't have it in your code, you can't make people do that. So that gets into where lots of times they've said, it's been heard that, we are not addressing things, or there's loopholes to, that let you do things that good planning might suggest other ways to do. So that's all that I think is trying to be laid at the table right now, that we need to look at the PUD, work on that, and develop more things as far as, what kind of reviews are going to be necessary. If there are more charges and fees, we're not here to just say we need to raise charges, but, that some things need to be done that haven't been done. And I will say the county has just greatly increased their fee structure. So, ours probably has never been looked at for, is it justifiable? You're supposed to be able to justify your costs. I guarantee that if you do studies and things, they're going to require more effort and more expense than the fees that are here right now. But again, they have to be reasonable, and they have to be in line with competitors or other people that are in the same situation, other locations.
We just reworked the sewage fees, connection fees and everything, and to bring them up to date.
That's right.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that people asked about with the area over here at the baseball field was getting what kind of tests have to be done. And that really falls to the county. And part of our code says we follow the county's guide on stormwater and whatnot. Or, you're going to have to do health department tests and regulations. Your plans have to be approved there. It would not make sense for us to duplicate what the county does already, no matter where it's built in the county.
Well, there's some verbiage that you'd want to change for the town, not everything, but, because that happened, where I was town council, that we had to make sure that it satisfied the area that we were in, not necessarily everything from the county.
Well, I'm talking about, we don't approve septic systems, we don't approve a number of things that's done.
Yeah, okay.
And there were some, questions from that. Why aren't we doing this? Or when the market's looking at, at adding the gas pumps, well, they will have to do that through DEQ, which is part of that process. Not something that we would do here in this building.
Correct.
I like what she has on the next section about setting up.
What section?
Conduct fees, discussion preliminary plan fees.
Yeah,
Okay. Nobody is coming here saying what the fees need to be and
Yeah.
what fees don't exist that may need to be addressed if we require certain additional things to be done. But she's looking into that. And we'll have to come back with something for us to review and then us ultimately act to send on to the town council. And then it says on the top of the back page, fees will be developed based on the markets of surrounding localities. That's what I was saying. You don't base yours strictly on what others have done, but you surely don't want to be out of line with where others are, that they avoid you or they come here only because yours are so low and out of kilter with other places.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm thinking about fees, but I'm thinking about, all the work that you guys did before I came in. Does that finish that part of the regulations, the statutes?
No, we certainly may look at other things, but the priority was to hit the zoning and the subdivision ordinances in particular. And then we also last month, I guess, looked at the water and the sewer and the street and the cemetery. If you all look through your code and want to take on some others, we certainly can do that. But just recommend we can do 2 or 3 most at a meeting. You can't do it all at one time. So
I wonder.
we have the flexibility to look in all of them.
Well, fees, there's really not too many fees that the town brings in, right?
I don't think so. Have you looked at where do you go to look for the fees for the town?
If you want, I can pull it up real quick.
Okay.
I have to minimize.
Necessary to, like, when it comes to developers, the areas, having it ready, pieces that address that, just the cost of which they.
We need that. Has the state come in and put the cable in for the DSL and our?
No, we have not in the town been, they've not reached us and put it available to customers in the town. They've gone through us to get down the road in other parts of the county for it, but the priority has been the less developed or the places that do not have adequate internet whatsoever. They think of Mineral Louisa, they being where the overriding entity is. Mineral Louisa has something, they have cable that's available and are better served than the remote parts of Louisa County. So we're at the tail end of it. And
But I mean, it's one of our assets though, I mean, that we have, that it's not really talked about because there's so many people that work here remote. I work, for a year or so remote. And so people don't really know that. They think that, with Louisa, the county, that there are just pockets that, don't have anything. And they probably think we don't have anything, but we're connected.
Yeah.
I mean, the town is connected.
Yeah, Xfinity, Verizon, whatever it is.
Yeah, it used
I thought it was Blue Sky or another name that was in the house we purchased. I have to think of the name of what it was. It was not like satellite. It was wireless.
that's what I have.
That's what I have.
I used to have Verizon, but Verizon's wiring was so bad that you couldn't do a landline. They'd be out every month fixing it.
Okay, and who do you have now?
Now I'm totally wireless with T-Mobile.
Here?
My house wireless is T-Mobile. Everything is T-Mobile. I'm streaming.
I wish I was streaming everything.
So there is a lot of opportunities. Sometimes people just don't know like really what's out there. It would be great if
Something on the website.
right, that this is available for people,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean, for our town. Because I tell you, people determine where they're going to live by looking at it.
This the school.
Should make that as a movement.
The schools listed, the utilities, because I couldn't even get that from the real estate people.
Wow.
I mean, I was calling everybody and I was going online and looking at the maps and it was really hard to find who had.
See, that's an opportunity really, because a lot of people are like, forget about it. I ain't going to Merrill because it's just too difficult to even find out what's here.
I mean, list the number, even landlines.
We're supposed to have broadband access, as the rest of the county. Much of it already has got, but that's the overall aim. We're just on the tail end of it.
We weren't the true hinterland out there that.
Well, I think that, it's worse than that on like on.
Right.
I mean, it's
There-
Well, the school system was handing out laptops during COVID. It was handing out wireless modems. And there are places where you can't use a wireless modem.
Well, they had little trailers that had communications capability, and kids would come and drive us in the parking lot at a school or at a shopping center to be able to tie into and use it.
But the one that gets it, a satellite.
There.
Yeah, because there's nothing.
well,
Anyway, yeah.
But
that is something that I think that we ought to look into and whomever, I mean, it can be one of us or whoever, God, I can't even think of her name right now. I'm sorry.
Just call her.
Nicole.
Yeah.
Does she do it? Just call and say, hey, look, we've got a possibility of PUD application coming in and we need something to, have a driving force to bring people in and start with the
I
utility.
think that can be a recommendation that should be captured. Right. We would like to do that. I would also like to add to the fact of this discussion is, I think, getting to a point of addressing that the town's website, which is brand new, but it is not, as compared to looking to many other localities, be it Louisa County or Orange or Gordonsville or other cities and all, it is not at that level at all. It does do more things than the previous one that preceded what we've got right now, but it's not personalized and it's not easy.
So can I speak on this?
Yes.
Okay, so that's been a new task delegated when I started. So I'm meeting with the website people, not this upcoming Monday, but the following Monday to hopefully fix this website
So if there's things that we want, now really is the time to be like, please help us add this to our website. So the website will be in the works.
Nice. I mean, that sells the town, honestly. I mean, that was like.
That's where everybody looks online.
So the developers, and it really does tell you what the leaders of a community, like, just like with economic development, that our website was everything. It spoke for us when we couldn't speak to developers. So, yeah, and we're missing a lot because they think we're backwoods and don't have it together. And so once that website is kicking, like really kind of speaking and telling, we would have a lot of more remote workers here, professional people.
I find this funny. I have to say the reason I chose Douglas Mineral is that when the power went out, I could still flush my commode.
That's a good reason.
However, if we had a way of saying on the website something like, thinking about joining us in Mineral, here's what you can come to expect. Commodes at work. Internet, we have these providers. We have, so that people can say, oh, they can answer those questions that are just bothering them in the back of their minds.
Well, I think we're going to start growing, and I don't want to be hit hard with things that are unplanned here. Because I've seen it, and it's not fun going backwards.
That's right. Look at the Sorai down there. Yeah. Never.
They're still.
They're not going to. No, they're not. I mean, unless they do the beautification that I love what Nicole and the other, the council, they got to do, they got to dress it up. And before they can get their, occupancy, it's got to do, they got to do what's being asked. So if they don't do it, it's not happening.
Exactly.
We've gotten off track a little bit.
It's still exciting. Again, all of that was worthwhile, and I think it'll bear fruit. And yes.
Okay. I'm like, all right, I got to score.
We're on the back page.
In the back page.
We've just done the fees will be developed based on markets.
Understand.
C is discussion reviews required, countywide review, site plan, VDOT, Department of Health, Louisa County Water. We've already talked about that.
Louisa County Public Schools.
Oh, yeah, and Louisa County Public Schools.
Yeah, because we don't know what they're doing. It's their future.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We started to the school now.
And just put EPC after that. I mean, unless anybody can think of other specific ones. We need it. Right. But that's a good thing. And D, discussion of other requirements regarding PUDs in the town limits. Well, we've just done that. You talked about trying to market our town with the website being updated and for us to have a list of all the internet providers or other types of things that homeowners as well as businesses thrive on.
Absolutely. An airport. I mean, we got a community that we've got an airport, it's
Right.
Yep.
List of positives. How about that?
assets.
Yeah, assets of town.
I'm interested in how they'll deal with traffic, which is part of the PUD is, and then so which streets will come to a abrupt halt because they end at the PUD. And
Maybe.
but and then the other part is, I got a quick question. The other side of the PUD, is there anything down there?
No, that's going to be forced. I mean, it is just forced to play. And the color yellow is residential limited, so it's zoned for residential, low density, I guess. Residential limited versus general.
Yeah, it's,
Bigger lots, I would say, or more single family homes versus being apartments or something.
all right.
So I think we've had a good discussion on that aspect on the PUD. If if no objections, I say let's move on to the second item.
Here's my question for the second item. What's an overlay district? And how is that different from the zoning that we've got?
Overlay district is planned or having been discussed as something to further place expectations on maybe its limitations or maybe it's more requirements on the areas that are along Mineral Avenue, Louisa Avenue, and First Street in between in order to give a more desirability factor to residences as well as businesses and to attract more people to the town because they see or can find things of interest there for them. And, so an overlay district doesn't change the zoning. Zoning is still the same, but it may encompass another step of review or another expectation about the outside appearances of the structure.
Like a historical district.
Yeah, it can be that. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a continuance,
Meaning what?
continuance of discussion, and that it's not a closed-ended thing.
It would exceed the requirements in the area of those streets if it got approved this way would be enhanced.
Would not affect what currently lives there.
Right.
But there's not a whole lot of open place.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of open lots undeveloped and all between that end of town and up here. I think that going west, it would stop at the corporate limit and not go on the right-hand side all the way up to where those propane tanks are, because that's all commercial. It's all just business. And it's not in the historic district. The historic district is what was in existence before that annex brought that part into town. So my estimation would be, it would be the one block that's along both sides of Mineral Avenue, Louisa Avenue, and First Street. Whether that's what happens or not, I don't know. And I'll further tell you that Ms. Washington and I had a Zoom call last week with the Thomas Jefferson Planning District. They're our regional planning district that covers 7 or 8 counties in this part of Virginia. They are the ones that helped us put together the comprehensive plan that was just completed in the last year. And they've got the services of planners and other entities in Charlottesville and surrounding areas to facilitate things being done. So we made a call and talked to them, we being Ms. Washington and I again, with their executive director and a planner to talk about or to request that they come up with a proposal that could be considered by the planning commission, and ultimately if the planning commission recommends it to council for what this overlay district could be and what should be contained in it and how it would operate, and who does the review over development that wants to come in within it. We had about a half hour, 45-minute conversation, and they said they certainly could do it. And they gave us about a 2-week window for them to work up a proposal, both on, what they could offer, how long it would take, and what it would cost.
I don't see, I'm just going to say, I don't see a lot of room for development on the roads you've mentioned. They are nearly full. The town wants to buy there's that nice corner that the town wants to buy. And what looks like an open piece of property is just a piece of property that people would rather have as a yard. I don't know that there's a lot of land to develop. Now, I can see an overlay district for the PUD because that's being developed and there's nothing there.
So, I mean, it's a tool, it says here, I just kind of pulled it up. It says an overlay district is a zoning designation that adds special provisions to an existing base zoning district. So, I mean, overlay district, is used as a planning tool, about managing or protecting resources like our area, like here, overlay district, we want it to look a certain way. If we had an overlay district here, we probably wouldn't have had that stuff happening on the corner because it would have been set,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that you want to take a zoning that is 1 block, 2 blocks wide, both sides of that street, and do another overlay district on top of it.
Yep.
Just fix the zoning.
No. The idea is that, and I know that this discussion took place, you were on planning commission, you, the longest standing person on planning commission. Okay. Both of you all, I know that in the last year of the comprehensive plan during the review that this came up. It is in the comprehensive plan to do this sort of thing. The idea that I remember hearing discussed was that maybe the town of Mineral would be more desirable for businesses to locate here and restaurants to open up and for people to want to live here or to work here. If it looked more like Gordonsville, like the town of Orange or the town of Louisa, and that we would like to see what's already here to be maintained more than being torn down. Not to say that some things might have to because of the condition of them, but try to keep what is here and to have anything that's built more like what you would have seen the architecture of like 1890 to 1920. Don't build a bright, shiny silver structure
Or double
right in here, or don't, so I particularly think Gordonsville is a great example of Louisa, just not far behind it. Get your sidewalks wide and improved, get old type street lamps and all, put up banners. And again, if someone wants to build in that little block that was torn down actually between the express lane and the lawyer's office, it's there. That used to be a pharmacy. And it on the ground level had picture windows in the front. And up top, it was rented out apartments. Well, that's what I think that we want when we talk about mixed use. Have it be some sort of business that's there. Maybe another little store could come in, but they build them big now. But, we want to see people grip our vision. So the planning commission of the county and the town needs to come together. It's what is the vision. I believe that what we were advocating to the council is, let's try to make this look a lot more like Gordonsville and Louisa and dress the place up. Don't just let people throw in what they want. We just accept what comes.
Okay, so Gordonsville and Louisa, if you're talking about Main Street,
Yeah.
that kind of, they had planned for that. And the only building in this part of town that fits that plan is Sherry's Snip and Curl or whatever, because that's the width of the vision you've got doesn't include side yards, and everybody has a side yard over here. So you aren't chicken jowl down the road, and that looks nice if you've got that, but we haven't got, the only way we'd have that if that side of town burned down.
But
Because
if I don't mean
you can't build those things between two houses.
But if you do not provide direction and have some say so, then you could be stuck with things that further erode. And so much of the town of Mineral has been torn down. Old buildings and structures and all have factories and factories have been torn down. And we have a historically designated on the federal and state level town here. We have 200 and some houses or businesses or sites, whatever they may be, that have been recognized and written up as being a part of a historic designation. Your house is on it. My house is on it. Many along through this area. Your house is definitely on it.
I guess my argument is,
Yes.
you can't expect to look like downtown Gordonsville.
But you can still have storefronts that look like that.
I think we can create it. I think we can encourage it.
So,
You don't think so?
I'm just trying to finish what I was saying. Once you get under the railroad tracks on the other side, that's what I like about Gordonsville, where you've got tree lined and it's pretty and they're not big empty spaces. I just don't see us building, or I don't see anybody building that kind of row setup that you see there or in Louisa. I don't think you can park on the street to fill up those buildings. There are just a lot of issues with that kind of construction. And I think that's what my worry is that everybody wants to be like Gordonsville. And the way this town is laid out through here, it's not going to, I mean, we don't even have the only bones we had got torn down and dropped to the Quickly Mart.
The infrastructure can take all. I think you're underestimating what the infrastructure here. I mean, it's a blank palette right now. We can create anything we want.
And houses I see over here.
Well,
But
what?
that's okay, we can look at that.
I mean, I'm thinking of developing something myself on the 7 lots that I have, in town, so, I mean, I'm thinking of that kind of.
You also need to recognize that what is here already, all the way up Mineral Avenue, it's all zoned commercial. There may be houses there. I live in a house and, many of us do. But what is likely to be built is commercial. This is about the only commercial area we got. What's on Mineral Avenue and what's on Louisa Avenue. And then that PUD, which can be whatever we want it to be. But as far as commercial, only place we've got set aside for it is along Mineral and Louisa Avenue. So we shouldn't be talking about side yards because businesses can be built right up to each other on the line. In fact, you don't want big side yards if you're putting businesses in. You want to be able to get to the back and park. You want to have, ways to align them together. But we need to be able to say, again, we want a restaurant here. And if somebody's interested in coming, that we're close to the schools. We've never associated much with the schools and promoted schools, send all of the people down here to Mineral. We're only, a mile and a half away. Certainly restaurants and fast food places and shopping and all. It's a big market there. We need to hit upon it and be partnering with the schools to tell us what all would help you that will also help us.
But are you wanting the fast food downtown?
I don't know about being downtown, but having fast food is, what do we have? We don't have fast food here now. The town's for reasons. Yes. We need like a
brewery or, someplace.
Yes.
To get it outside. I mean,
I'm not advocating that we need, I'm not going to name any particular one.
Yeah.
One of them put right here in the middle of town. But I would not be adverse to them deciding that, that there's interest. And to me, when you got all these ball games going on at the high school all year long, all different sports and all, and everybody comes there and then goes back away. I can't imagine why there's no place for somebody to get something to eat real quick.
I agree.
Go along with
Stay downtown.
So that's why we need to address it. Whether it's the fast food or a restaurant, don't just throw up a shoddy looking
Exactly.
building here that distracts from the community. We want to add to the community value.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I'm just, the only thing I disagree with is the row of buildings and.
Well, it won't look exactly, we're not saying that. It's just, just.
I think of that nice restaurant I ate at way over there. And it was a gas station. I love that gas
And
station.
we have a gas station right here that may turn into a restaurant.
See, that is
Yeah.
certainly not Gordonsville, but I like it. All right, can we move on before I delay us until 9 o'clock?
Well,
Okay.
again,
It's good stuff.
that's why
No, I'm afraid I'm dragging things down.
No.
what we're doing is asking the planning district, who's got a lot more tools and all, to come up with ideas that they could present. And they're not going to do it for free, so it's going to cost some money. Don't know how much. Tell us what you can do for us and how long it would take for you to do it and how much it's going to cost. And then we get the first look at it. And if we like the idea, we propose it and send it on to
Okay.
council.
And then
When you go to
put
the
it,
three now?
put it behind glass right in the front, so everybody in the whole town can see.
Come see it.
This is what we want. This is what we're striving for.
That's right.
Really good, number 3.
So that is that, in 1 and B and C, we've done all those discussions. That takes care of number 2 on the list. Third is development adjacent to the town border.
I only have one note. 2.
Let me just read that and then
You're gonna read
jump right in, because I haven't read it either. So, development adjacent to the town boundary. 1, any development that borders the town needs to have approval and access acceptance through the town. We will need to work with the county to manage this. And I'm going to just read. Discussion of possible code change regarding developments adjacent to the town. Discussion will require advanced applications. Discussion of need for approval from the town before streets are used for access into and out of the town. Go ahead and make your comments and then I'll fill you in on what I've heard.
Borders misspelling needs enhanced. That's the 2nd grade teacher.
Where is that?
First line, any development that borders.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Is that on the actual agenda or that's Nicole's notes? I'm like looking.
That is number 3. Item number.
That's her notes. Okay. I'm like looking at the agenda. I'm like, where are the?
I didn't look at the Also, it may be a stretch for us to say we have any control over what happens across the town.
Right. I'm not trying to. I'll explain if you'd like. My discussion with
And we talked about part of it, at the last meeting. And the other part is access to roads. We talked last time about VDOT's going to be big into this one.
Yes.
Because they own the roads.
Well, they don't own undeveloped roads in town.
No, they own.
They only own roads that have been dedicated to VDOT. And the town streets that haven't been built aren't dedicated to VDOT.
Okay, so VDOT owns the state road here, right? So it's just the state, not the county roads, but the state roads.
And could be federal because 522 is a federal US road.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that existed.
You have a US highway back in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s before interstates, the major road.
Okay, that's good to know.
All this comes about, Jim, because there has been some recent development going on, and there's crossing going back and forth between the county and the town, and no permits were sought or no discussion was had, and that kind of brings up the situation of, the streets in the town are owned by the town, whether they were developed or not. They become the state's if somebody builds it to state spec and then the town asked for the VDOT to come in and take it over and pave it. Town doesn't have the money to pave roads. They're not going to.
Yes.
Right. So generally, if you got a street that's on the map from 1890, W.L. Bishop's map, that's the official one. And it says it exists, but you can't see it. It's not out there. Normally what happens is a developer or somebody wants to build some houses or wants to build something in there. So they end up building it and then you have to come before the town council, and the town council has to have a public hearing. And then makes a decision whether to grant the right to open it and dedicate it to VDOT, and vice versa. If it does exist, they want to close it, and VDOT's got it, they got to have a public hearing in order to do away with it as well. But particularly in my mind, the undeveloped ones where there is no street, people don't have authority, from what I understand, to open paths and use as a connector between the town and the county those old streets. It's not their property, it's the town's property.
Yes, because we kind of worked in.
So that's what I think she wants to address. And
That's why we partially addressed that last time we met.
yeah. So I, again, don't know how it would be worded and how it worked, but that's what she's saying. Discussion of possible code changes regarding developments adjacent to the town boundary. For instance, that whole field that's behind the stoplight and off to the right. If you go, down our Davis Highway and take the first left on the street, you're in the county. On the left-hand side, that whole field is open and it's in the county, it's not in the town. But if they would have somebody were to put a huge development in there and they wanted to come into the town and access into the town, and if they wanted to get water and sewer on back parts of it from the town, they need to coordinate with the town. The town needs to have say-so in how it's done in the town. And not be having the county review everything and approve everything and assume that the town is okay with it. So it works both ways. The county is more of an authority than we are. We're part of the county. But the town should make decisions on how this access happens. It doesn't happen.
Through unopened roads, yeah. I agree.
So do we know what's going on over here?
No.
No. I looked and it was clear and I thought, I guess that's what everybody was talking about on meeting the other night.
Right. So no permits, from what I understand, were obtained. It just got cleared. And, the trucks and all came out of that and down 2nd Street and other places. And apparently that's not necessarily, legal to assume that those roads can be used for access in and out of the town when they're, in some cases, some of the streets, didn't exist. 2nd Street did exist, but still, for instance, I think in the county, you've got to have logging permits if you're going to go in and out. It comes from VDOT. So that's why she wants to get everybody coordinated on things, and when people need to have permits, the county and the towns need to know, and VDOT needs to know, who's doing what, and be on front versus finding that things have already happened and it's too late to have a party to say, you want a sidewalk in, you want streetlights in, you want whatever. So that's it. Again, we're talking about new things that haven't been addressed before that probably should, as we try to monitor the way that the town grows. Yes.
Annexing. Do you annex here? Is that what it's called?
It's only happened once that I know, and it was about 10 years ago. And it was for the town to annex. They would be going into Louisa County, and they can't force it. It has to be a voluntary thing, unless they really want to go to court and fight each other. And the county, from what I understand, told town when they were approached. And town wanted to expand and have some more commercial revenue, taxes and so forth. So they wanted to get that strip where the restaurant is, Dollar General and stuff like that. They would like to have gotten both sides of the road, but what the county told them was, believe that in your desire to annex, we'll agree to you taking for annexation into our county as long as there's the people that are affected by it don't object. So they just went the commercial route, and apparently the commercial route didn't object. They didn't try to go the residential route and get residences between here and that same point on the left-hand side.
Okay, so don't get the approval from everybody wherever you want to annex and then vote on it. Town council doesn't vote on it.
I wasn't here. I don't know. But I know that, the first thing is, are you going to have an adverse lawsuit between the town and the county as to allow it? And
so
they talked about what was acceptable and what was not, that the county would not object under those conditions I just described, is what I understand.
Okay.
Now, what they did then.
The state's not in.
The state at one point had if I remember, years, did a moratorium on annexations, but I think it was more city versus county, because when a city annexes, it removes it from county rolls. When EV annexed, it doesn't remove it from the county.
County's going to get the same thing because they get what is assessed through every part of the county, including the towns. The towns just add an extra tax for the town's operation upon those citizens, the businesses in town.
Okay, another question. Has anyone approached that doesn't want to be in the town limit, but they want to be provided the services from EMS, et cetera, garbage pickup or whatever?
All I can say is there are some situations, well, the water and sewer does extend into some points outside of the town. There are extend down 522 to the trailer park. There's, I don't know if it's water and sewer or just water, but
I know that they have water people on this road, on Spring Road.
yeah, they do.
So we get revenue from them,
Yeah.
but they don't have any services from the town. If we had services. Because they're not officially town limit.
Right. They're not taxed by the town. So whatever service you provide, you'd have to charge them. And they would use it for water.
And there was an argument about trash pickup across the road from you.
Yeah, I know.
We in the trash truck, turned in their driveway, but wouldn't pick up their trash.
Not their driveway, it's town street. They're right across the road from me. That's that's Lee Street on the map. And their house is in the county and that street is in the town. And there's about 6 foot between the town line and their front porch. So they use that with the courtesy of the town to allow them to use it. Because it's not built to any specifications. So they have a driveway, but it's on town property. That sign of the county is actually in that street. So that is one of the signs, the only sign in the town, the big, you're entering the town of Menlo. That's the only one that's on town property. It's on the street. But yeah.
All right, we got
Yeah, that's all we need.
That was the county, there was my.
And so, be advised again that we'll probably be hearing from the Thomas Jessup Planning District again for a proposal to do this. I can tell you folks that the schedule that was approved for the next meeting was for the November to be on the 14th. I'm out of town that week, so I will not be here on the 14th. So yeah, Jim, you'll be in charge of that. And we've canceled the December meeting, so we don't have a December meeting. And then we'll be back in January. And January meeting is, tell me, what date is the
Let
January?
me look at the calendar. I thought it was January. I thought it was the 16th. I thought we moved it up so then we could.
So, we should make sure that we have a forum ahead of time. Yeah. I can tell you, I will put for that one, and just make sure that we will have 4 people or we won't have another meeting, but until January.
Well, I do want to say I've enjoyed this meeting from the standpoint, we've got a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah.
And, I appreciate you answering the questions that you did. A lot of stuff here, but, I'm excited to go forward and have someone come in here and put those ideas on paper.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not going to be expensive, so the town can afford it, but, and I apologize for interrupting. I try to do it when I speak and they're finished.
It's taken 40 years to teach.
Let me offer and suggest this is a copy of the National Register of Historic Places registration form that was approved and is signed off on, and it lists all the different properties, and it says what the contributing factor about each one of the locations is, and has a map. Would you all like to get a copy of that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do you know, are they going to put the town ordinances or statutes, city ordinance?
Mhm.
Okay, are you going to put that on the webpage too?
So the town code, the code is on there and we're working on switching it from whatever platform it's on to being on the same
Okay.
platform. That's a discussion.
Would it be, I mean, I know it's going to be
Mhm.
a lot of pages, but, I don't mind paying for the paper, but could you make a copy of that for me?
Of the code? Yeah, I think I have a code.
What you want is both the code and the charter, because the charter overrides everything, but it was written 100 years ago,
Okay.
and it's been updated once or twice.
The problem with the code on the website is that it's not updated with all the
Right.
ordinances and resolutions that
That
have.
has to get updated.
So
Yep.
that's a work in progress. If you want it now and I can give you.
I don't want you to do it now, just,
Mhm.
I mean, whenever you get it done, I know you're busy.
Yeah.
But it is
Oh, yeah, I wasn't gonna print it.
online and technically readily available for town, and that's important. It needs to be done, the code needs to be updated. And this is something that while we're talking about trying to make the town look nicer and have an overlay district, this is a part that contributes to being able to justify that. So do you already have the copy that you can copy from to make for people on the planning commission? If not,
Oh,
I've got it, and I can share it with you.
he may have one. I'm not sure.
We'll ask her about it.
Yes, and if not,
I'm back to make it.
okay. Okay. Before we adjourn, I just want you to know that the vacancy has been posted on the sign. I put it on our Facebook today to send in interest letters. So let's hope. Yep.
Planning commission.
Yep. Planning commission vacancy. Yep.
Thank you so much.
I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Do we have Mr.
Second.
Motion, Jim second for us to adjourn. Time is 8:10 p.m. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We all agree, 4-0, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.